Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your technical critic, and it's time for my review of Legend of Korra Season 4, Episode 9. Can you believe it? We are literally this close to the season finale. And I have to say, oh my god, what an episode. However, before I begin the review, as always, I'm going to ask you to like, favorite, subscribe, but most importantly, to leave a comment down below, because this is not just me talking about the episode. This is a discussion. And what you have to say matters. So if you have comments on the episode, questions about the episodes, comments on the review, questions about the review, anything at all, leave it in the comment section and I will read it and we'll have a talk about it. Now, since this is a review, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, watch the episode, come back, leave a comment, and we'll all have some fun. Ready? Let's begin. This episode was by far probably one of the better episodes of this season. I'm not going to say it's the best one, but it goes pretty far and does what it has to do extremely well. It does character development very well. The graphics are wonderful. The story that they crafted is wonderful. Everything comes together in a nice, neat package. Traditionally, episode 9s for Korra seem to be the episode in which problems get resolved and then the Avatar is prepped and then prepared to move forward and do what she has to do in order for the situation to come to a nice little conclusion. And this episode 9 is no exception to that, especially in comparison to episode 8. Episode 8 was probably the equivalent of the sting for season 2, because literally you could honestly write it out of the entire canon of the show and you would lose absolutely nothing. You would lose nothing. It honestly should not have happened. However, moving on from there, this episode seems to start off a little bit slowly with the use of comedy with the hipster airbender. He's leading a tour group into the spirit wilds, and then they all get attacked by spirit vines and they're all captured. Even Jinora gets captured and searching for him. And Korra now has to journey into the spirit wilds, find them, free them, and try and get everyone back safely. However, she is unable to do so. She tries to find them. She can't. She finds them by accident. She tries to spirit bend them out. She can't. She tries to meditate into the spirit world, and what happens? She is blocked by her memory of Zahir. The memory of Zahir is even speaking to her. It's like, she literally is crying out to her memory, look, you can't affect me, I got the poison out. And Zahir talks back to her and says, you'll never get it out, and proceeds to try and kill her again, and that snaps her out of her spirit meditation. Now Korra has to go and find a way to get past it. And what is her solution? Go to the source. She goes to confront Zahir. And it is it's probably one of the most intense non-action moments of the Avatar series, because just even in chains, Zahir is intimidating. Korra walks into his prison cell and basically says, I came to face you to tell you I'm not scared of you. He doesn't even attack her. He just flies down to the ground to the very end of his chain, and Korra backs up in fear. And you back up in fear because you're like, oh my god, he's going to try and fight her with his airbending. It just goes to prove what a villain he was. Even chained up, completely helpless, he is physically intimidating. Oh, well. But then it takes a really, really good twist. Korra has an actual conversation with her enemy. And it helps her, because Zahir, as horrible a human being as he is still an extremely spiritual being. It's very strange to see a character be just so insane, just so insanely bad, but also has such a weird spiritual grounding. It's like oil and water. You do not think the two things should mix, yet somehow in this way they do. They find a way to take an extreme spirituality and intense evil and mix them together in a way that you never got with Unalaq. And to be quite frank, it works. It works really well. I know I'm just gushing on about Zahir. But you then have Korra. It's a very interesting approach. To see her go through this entire series, starting with her recovery and treatment in episode 2, and just building on it to get to this point where she's now able to confront the cause of her stress, to confront the cause of her trauma, and then try to move past it, but she can't, so she has to confront it head on, is spectacular because it's so counterintuitive to what you would expect. You do not, and it just goes to show the amount of psychological research these guys have done in creating this episode. It goes against the contrary. You would think, okay, in order to get over this traumatic event, you have to remove it from your life. You have to isolate it and make it up and just get over it. Zahir, on the other hand, is saying, no, you don't go back. You don't go back simply by trying and pretending that this thing never happened. No, no. You have to accept that it happened and then build on top of it and get past it. You have to not get over it, get above it. You have to build on it and become a greater character because of it. And then he proceeds to go and help her to do that, which is, again, counterintuitive. It's not something you would expect him to do. You would expect that this character would be so bitter, so hurt, so intent on his, because of what happened to him, that all he would want to do is harm Korra. But you then see him try and help her. And it's very, very strange, but it's also strangely appropriate. So, I think that was done extremely well. It's an intense scene. You have to see it in the context of the show. The B and C plots are very well done as well. When Korra goes to report that the spirit vines are wreaking havoc because of what Kuvira is doing, President Raiko, Tenzin, and Fire Lord Izumi, and for some reason Prince Wu is there. They're all discussing what to do about the Kuvira situation. And they didn't invite the Avatar, which quite frankly is exquisitely insulting. They're basically saying, look, the Avatar cannot handle what needs to be done, so we have to take care of it ourselves. This episode was extremely political in that way as well. Even with the talk with Zahir, the way that Korra gets Zahir to help her is by saying, look, yes, you believed in anarchy. Here's what your belief has done. This is the consequence. You've taken out the Earth Queen, but you've created an even worse. In trying to stop one monster, you created an even greater monster, and it's all your fault. And it's very interesting to see. She doesn't do it intentionally. She just does it off the cuff. Korra unintentionally uses Zahir's own political and personal beliefs to get him to help her. And here's the thing. While she was in the spirit world, he easily could have killed her. When he came out of the spirit world and she's meditating there, she's completely helpless. He could have easily just gone and sucked her breath out. But no, he didn't. So I thought that was very good of him. I guess you don't help the Avatar until, and then kill her. I mean, I guess he's a good guy. I mean, he's not, I don't know. I do not know how to peg Zahir. He's not your straight up villain. He's far more complex than he seems. We hear Fire Lord Izumi speak, and that was amazing. She doesn't sound like Azula. She doesn't sound like Zuko. I guess I was kind of disappointed that she didn't sound like it. I was hoping that she sounded like Azula, but she doesn't. It would be a nice nod to that family resemblance. But she basically says, look, the Fire Nation has been involved in too many wars. We're not stepping in. Tenzin says, look, we're air nomads, we're peaceful. We're not going to step into an unprovoked attack. And of course, Prince Wu is completely helpless, so President Wright goes on his own. Seeing all of them debate the way they did, it really does bring in, yes, there are governments and they are trying to do some kind of response to everything that is happening around them. It's not just, oh, well, you know what, here are the world leaders, but you know what, it's Korra that has to take care of everything. It's Korra who's got to go and deal with all the problems of the world. No. It's, yes, these are actual world leaders, and they're actually trying to come up with some kind of response. We've been hearing about it forever, through the entirety of the season, but it's only now that we see it that it's truly hitting home. These guys are here, and they are trying to do the best they can, but they can't. Varric and Bolin, they burst into the council chamber at the exact same time Korra does. And Bolin's B-plot is that he's trying to win Opal back. And the way he's going to do so is by teaming up with the Bayfongs to go and rescue Su Yin and the rest of Opal's family. Opal is ice cold in this episode. Oh my god. And you know what? Rightly so. I'm not going to say that she's a horrible woman, that she's being completely unfair to Bolin. He did do wrong. He did not stand by her when he needed to. To be fair, he was brainwashed at the time. But it's still not a completely valid reason for all of his actions, for not listening to Opal when he should have. And he does try to he tries his charm. He tries to use his charm to win Opal back, and she is just not having any of it. You see Bolin, you see a lot of grown-up Bolin in this episode, but you also see a lot of the old charming Bolin. And it's nice to have that balance. It's not slapsticky Bolin from season 2 and season 3. No, this is season 1 and season 4. We've got a really good character on our hands. When he's not able to use charm, he uses honesty and he's mature. He's like, look, I know what I did was wrong, but I'm not going to stop trying to win you back. He really and truly does care about Opal. And Opal really and truly does care about him. You get that in this episode. You know what? Despite the fact that after season 2, I was completely over love stories and any romantic plotline that they had, this one is done particularly well. I like the way that they're doing their relations. They're not saying, oh, you know what, we're so much in love, so we can get over anything. No, it's like, you know what, one person did something almost unforgivable to the other one. Here's how we try to work through it. If we do work through it, fine. If we don't work through it, fine. We have our consequences for both of those. And it still manages to mix in a lot of realism. It's done. It just shows when these guys put their mind to it, they can write this really, really well. And of course, we have our funny moments. We have the hipster. We also have Asami and Varric meeting for the first time in ages. And I have to say, I loved it. The fact that the two of them are being forced to work together, but Asami is clearly the alpha in this situation. Varric might be the wacky genius, but she is the perfect embodiment of, oh, I don't even know how to describe it. How would I put it? She's the perfect embodiment of, we know Asami, right? We know Asami. We've been with her the whole 4 seasons. So, while we know she's willing to step up to the plate and do what she has to do, when she has to deal with someone that she doesn't like, she'll do what she has to do, but she makes it explicitly clear. Varric, you do not screw around with me again. You screwed around with me once, and you lost. If you try and do that again, I will murder you. That is basically what she says. She grabs his hand and she pushes him down to the floor with just by squeezing. Here's what she does. There's a little hole here in your wrist. It's a little triangular hole, and there's a nerve that goes through it. When they used to crucify people, that was the hole that they would nail you through, so that the nerve rubs against the nail and it hurts really hard. Asami grabs him right where that nerve ending is, and proceeds to squeeze. You can see his entire left side just goes totally numb, and he's like, please let go, please let go, please let go. It's amazing. It is just a wonder to behold, and I could not be happier. Asami is that strong, in control character again. She's not the season 2 character. She's not the season 1 love interest. No, this is Asami as the full, powerful, scientific woman she is. She is a captain of industry, and she is not going to be strung around as a fool. She is in her proper place, on top, where she belongs. And just seeing what the dynamic between the two of them is going to be in the next episode or the episode after that, I can't wait. I honestly cannot wait. This episode set up so many things. I want to move forward. I want to see what happens next. This episode was objectively good, and I've already stated all the reasons why. The characters grew a lot. The artwork was fantastic. We got a lot of good setup for a lot of good storylines. I have nothing bad to say about this episode. I honestly don't. So, that's been my review. If you made it all the way through this, you are awesome, because I know it's very hard to listen to me. I'm extremely repetitive, and I get very eager sometimes. But, I hope you enjoyed the review, and I will see you in the discussion. Remember, if you want to be part of our discussion for next week, you have to add a comment, either a comment about the episode, a comment about the review, a question about the episode, question about the review, anything at all really, and it will make it into next week's discussion. So, without further ado, I will see you in the discussion. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the discussion portion of our review. Welcome. If you haven't seen the review, I suggest you go back and watch it so that you have some context for what I'm about to say. Any comments that you made, questions, things that you had to say about the show, things you had to say about me, things you had to say about the review. Everything that you post, I then read here, and I comment on your comments, and we have a nice discussion. Alright, let's begin. Our first comment comes from the real Bucky, and he commented on Avatar: The Legend of Korra, The Kiss That Never Was on Loop. Let me give you some context for this comment, because it is a 1-hour video made by myself using a GIF that was created by an extremely talented artist by the name of Drakes. I've put the link to his Tumblr down below, because he makes wonderful Korra fan art. Some of it's After Dark, and to be quite honest, it was an amazing GIF. It's just the two of them kissing the first time they meet up, instead of what we actually got in the episode. It's what we wanted, not what we got. If you guys want to check it out, here's what it is. Alright, so Bucky's comment was, well, I'm gonna fap, then go to bed. Really, Bucky? Really? Allow me to, of all the things you could have said, that. I went and I spent an hour of my time stitching the, trying to perfectly get the GIF on loop, and then stitching it together, and then putting appropriate music at each part. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's music to this kiss. I've got rock and roll, classical, I think I've even got Swan Lake in there somewhere, and the 1812 Overture, you know the one that goes bang, I even have that one in there somewhere. I've also got the Wedding March. It is amazing. And the purpose of the video is, if you read the description, I'll link it here if you want to see it. The purpose of the video is that you're supposed to go through it, find a part that you think is most appropriate, the music that you think best represents that moment, and then just comment. Or if you don't think that the music that best represents that moment is there, tell me what it is, and I'll recut it so that you can have your music in there. But no, I heard, well, I'm gonna go masturbate and then go to bed. That's what I got. I'm sorry, guys. Bucky, you're an intelligent man. I know this because the two of you and I have spoken over Skype. Come on, you can do better than this. Just because you have access to me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, doesn't mean you can just leave dumb comments here. Come on, be intelligent. And that goes for the rest of you. Leave intelligent comments, please. I will read your comments if they're completely out there, but If they're trolly, sure, I'll read them. But try and leave intelligent comments. It makes this part so much better. Alright, moving on. Our next comment comes from Juan Rodriguez. Hello Juan, good to see you as always. He says, what can I say about episode 8? In one word, wordless. And they should have cut this episode from the series. Juan, you're preaching to the choir. I could not agree with you more. I have an entire review saying that. Thank you for stating that. Now, in Japanese anime shows... Oh, come... Stop. You cannot compare Japanese anime shows to American anime shows for the simple reason that they're made for two completely separate cultures. One might be based off the other, but other than that, the two of them are nothing alike. Continuing on, he says, now in Japanese anime shows that have more than 100 episodes, they do have clip shows or recap episodes. These episodes were made in order for the viewer to recap what he had watched, but a recap in a limited series of less than 13 episodes each season is not the place. Well, yes and no, because if they used this recap episode to stitch the seasons together, I would have been perfectly fine with it. But they didn't. They just used it to rehash and reheat a lot of their worst writing. They didn't even take their best writing. They took the worst writing and they reheated it. Tell me, what does that tell you about the quality of this clip show? It was not good at all. They could have made a good clip show, but they didn't. Oh well. What are you going to do? He continues on. Now, I want to talk about Bryke's problem and its relationship to what happened with M. Night Shyamalan and his movie. First and foremost, you can't compare Bryke's situation with M. Night's situation. Really? Why not? Both of them were screwed by the studios. Both of them were screwed by the same studios in the exact same way. How can I not compare these situations? It's in the exact same series. It's in the Avatar series. How can I not compare this situation? It would be criminal for me not to compare the two of them. And the fact that they pair up so well just goes to prove what I've been saying about the network. They do not know what they're doing. They're dinosaurs. The fact that they made it this far is astounding. I do not know how the network of Nickelodeon managed to survive this long just with the horrible decisions they are constantly making. It's baffling. It is baffling that they are still afloat. Maybe it's because Viacom supports. I don't know. I honestly do not know. Continuing on. He says Bryke could have refused in cutting this episode, but M. Night, as much as any hater wants, could not walk away from this movie. An episode and a movie are two very different things, and millions of dollars are at stake. If M. Night would have walked away from the movie, as any hater wished, not only would his career have been over, but we will never get the Korra series. Timeout. There's several things wrong with that statement. Number one, a director always has the option to walk. And let's look at M. Night's career now. Is he directing movies? No. His career is over. His career was over the second he signed the contract to do that Nickelodeon movie. You want to know why? No other production house would hire him. The fact that the next year he had to make a promotional pitch for Will Smith's kid, Jaden or whatever his name is, just goes to show how low on the pole M. Night Shyamalan has sunk. Now, M. Night made some good movies. Let's make that clear. Sixth Sense is possibly a good movie. I mean, and apparently there's another one. I can't remember what it's called, but apparently there's another good M. Night Shyamalan movie out there. What it is, I don't know, but it's out there. The Happening. The Happening is one of those movies that is absolutely terrible, cinematically, acting-wise, setting-wise, story-wise, but it's still enjoyable to watch. It's the definition of a movie that is so bad it's good. M. Night has had some good ones, but the majority of his movies were flops. And here's the thing. If he had walked, his career was not doing well when he signed on to do this movie. If he had jumped ship, it would have at least salvaged his reputation, because this happens all the time. Whenever a big name director walks away from a movie, it's an indicator to the audience and to the critics that this movie has had way too much done to it to make it good. It's not going to do well. It's not going to be worth watching. And the director has the self-respect, the self-awareness, the dignity to distance himself from that piece of work. Because you know what and here's what it tells all of us who work in the industry. It tells us, you know what, he has standards and he's not willing to violate them in order to just collect a paycheck. And in a medium, in a business where, and this has been true forever, but Alfred Hitchcock probably put it best, you're only as good as the last movie you made. And when you consider what Avatar: The Last Airbender, the movie, did to his career, it's over. I mean, just follow me on this. Trust me on this. If we go to Twitter and we type in Shyamalan's name, I have him here. Let's see. What did he last week? He tweeted 6 episodes into True Detective. Okay. Let's see. Finished reading a book that he's now turning into a new script, apparently. Sailing boats in Central Park. Quoting other people. Making jokes. He's not working. He's tweeting about Eagles game. He's not working on anything. He's not doing anything like, okay, here's October. Still nothing. Oh, here we go. Got some good news about my indie film. We'll let you know this week, maybe tomorrow. And then nothing about this. Nothing else about his indie film. If we keep moving back, what else was he working on? Let's see. Here's baby pictures of them not shy. He's tweeting baby pictures about himself. Wayward Pines. Walking through rainy London doing promotion. What the heck is Wayward Pines? Okay, Google, help me out. What is Wayward Pines? Wayward Pines. Here we go. TV series. Oh, wow. Apparently, this is a TV series that was canceled by the Suits before it even aired. Hang on, I want to see if I could find this as a thing to watch. If I go to my watch website and I type in Wayward Pines, here we go, Wayward Pines. Okay, according to this, there are only 4 episodes. None of them have ever aired. They've never been they cannot be found. No reputable site will carry them. What does that tell you? Even in TV land, he's being shut down. Look, I don't hate M. Night Shyamalan. I'm sure that he's a nice person. But you know what? He's proven time and time again he can't direct movies. He can work as a writer, but in terms of making the transition from writer to director, he's not that good. And you know what? Even if you look at the work he writes, the dialogue is just so bleh. Now, in the difference with Michael and Brian is, if you look at Bright, yes, first 2 seasons, their writing was horrible. They've had their excuses for that. We've moved on. But they really did prove themselves with season 3 and season 4. You can't, and as writers and creators, you can't just walk away over one episode. You can argue and you can try and get it cut, but you can't walk away over one episode. You're right, it's not the same as a movie, but you know what? In the thing I'm trying to compare is not the actions of one versus the actions of the other. I'm trying to show what the consequence is when the Suits get involved and they basically say, well, here, we're going to strangle your budget and make all your decisions for you. This is what happened. Episode 8 happened and it was horrible. M. Night, and as to getting the Korra series, right? You said that if M. Night had walked away from the movie, not only would his career have been over, but we would have never gotten the Korra. I disagree with that entirely. If M. Night had walked away from the movie, a different director would have picked it up. It would have had his name on it. It would still have probably bombed. And then guess what? We would still have gotten the Korra series. The reason we got the Korra series is because Nickelodeon is addicted to money, and they basically started they're money addicts. They honestly think that they can just milk money out of things without rhyme, reason, or consequence. So basically, they went back to Michael and Brian, and they probably pulled up some weird fine print part of their contract and said, "Hey, whenever we ask you, you have to make another series for us if it was successful. Otherwise, you're fired, or you're sued, or something like that." And they basically locked them in to make season 1, and then season 2, and then season 3 and 4 were announced. And they're like, "Ugh, our hands are tied, but you know what? We're getting it put in our claws. This is the last time we're making any kind of series for Nickelodeon." That is how bad it was. Moving on and continuing with the comment, Juan continues. "Make no mistake about it, there was an article on the web at the height of the movie's unpopularity." You mean now? Like right now? The movie is being used to teach young director and art students how not to use white balance. Ugh. Nick made the bold announcement in creating a spin-off TV series of Avatar. It happened after the movie made $100 million in North of it. That movie made $100 million? I am shocked. I am honestly shocked with it. Hang on. How much money did Avatar: The Last Airbender movie make? Avatar: The Last Airbender. $60 million. It grossed what? It grossed 131 million and 319 worldwide. No! Oh wow, that's how much did the movie cost to make? That's what my question is now. Budget 150 million. Box. They made double their money. God damn it! They said they lost money on that. Wow, just wow. I'm surprised it broke 100 mil. Anyways, continuing on, he says, "Yet M. Night really paid a heavy price in making the movie, and I believe he learned lessons in making big budget movies based on a cartoon that every fanatical fan worships as literature true. He failed in his attempt to bring the series on the big screen, but at least he tried, and I can praise him for that because he tried and accepted all the hate of the haters that I consider unfair." If you look at Avatar: The Last Airbender, yes, he tried. But he didn't fail. He caused it to fail. You want to know why? Look at the acting in The Happening. The way that the characters stand right in front of the camera and just speak, breaking the fourth wall. They're bland, they're colorless, they're characterless. Look at Avatar: The Last Airbender and tell me that is not what you see. The movie has his distinct markings on it, and that's horrible. It is so exposition heavy. One of these days I've got to review that movie. I honestly should review that movie. And I will go through my reasons as to why I don't like it, and they're not based at all on why I love the TV series and hate the movie, because you know what? And this is something I should probably have disclosed before. I saw the movie before I saw the Avatar TV series, and me seeing the movie said, well, if it's based on a TV series, well, I guess I won't watch the TV series. It was only when another reviewer said, no, it's good, watch it, and I did, and I'm like, whoa, this is good, I should watch this. What happened to that movie? What honestly happened? That is how I ended up comparing this. I was not a fan before I watched the film. I was a fan after I watched the show, and I watched them in reverse order, so Juan continues on. Filmmaking is a passion, and sometimes you won't get what you want. I suggest you read some articles that are posted on mnightfans.com. Yes, M. Night does have fans, including me, in those articles. You will see another different story of why the movie went south, sort of speaking. I fear that because of the hate this movie has received unfairly, that no respected producer or director will ever try to take the challenge in making a reboot. I could be wrong, but time will tell. However, as Korra is about to finish, this episode 8 fiasco proves that Nick has completely cut its support of this show. Nickelodeon cut its support of this show probably halfway through the producing of season 3. But you want to know something? If you're a fan of M. Night Shyamalan, good for you. I don't hate people because they're fans of things I don't like. If you find something in something that someone else doesn't like and you like it because of that, good for you. Because you know what? You're finding the positive in a negative. And you know what? If someone's hating something that is completely subjective, guess what? They're being completely and utterly irrational, because subjective is subjective. But when you look at things empirically, the way that a critic does, sometimes you have to wonder. And you know what? I'll take you up on that. I will look at mnightfans.com, and I will try and read what it has to say. But if I find that people are making absurdist claims where the facts prove them wrong, I'll tell you about it. I promise you I will. If they are, I'll tell you about it, and then I want to hear what you have to say to that, because quite frankly, I don't mind I don't mind anyone who's a fan of M. Night Shyamalan, okay? He made some good movies. His movies probably appeal to a different fan base or to a very tight-knit fan base as opposed to en masse, okay? That's probably his movie style, his directing style, the way he directs his actors. If it does appeal to some people and they all come together, good for you. You're united behind something you like. I don't mind that. But to say it's good, objectively speaking, it needs some work. It does need some work. I would love to see M. Night make another movie that is as successful and good and intricate and tightly written, the way that Sixth Sense was. But honestly, some of his stuff really does feel silly. Alright, moving on from there. The only reason I was comparing the two was I saw the fiasco that happened, and I was just comparing one fiasco to the other. I'm not saying that M. Night's a horrible person. Am I saying he's a bad director? Well, I've got some evidence to back me up there. I'd be happy to debate you on it. I'll probably make a video one of these days. Actually, I do have a video as to my opinion on M. Night Shyamalan, but I'm not publishing that yet. I'll wait. But moving on to our next comment. This is another comment from Juan Rodriguez. This is from the Avatar: the Legend of Korra, The Kiss That Never Was on loop. So this is another comment from my 1 hour kissing video. It says, if this would have happened in this episode, all Korrasami fans would have just cheered hysterically, and phone calls from offended parents would have rang all night at Nickelodeon's office. This is very good work, and I applaud the people who worked on this. Thank you, Juan. I appreciate your sentiment, but your sentiment should be going to Drex. He is the one who animated this. He is the one. I swear to you, if he is not a creator for Korra, they should have hired him, because if he drew this and animated it himself, one, he has way too much time on his hands, but more importantly, he's a damn good artist. It's hard to replicate somebody else's work, and he did it amazingly, and he made something wonderful. What did I do? I just took it, linked it, and put a bunch of music at the bottom. Which, by the way, which song did you feel was most appropriate for the two of them making that? For the two of them get, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Which one was most appropriate? Tell me. Was it the 1812 Overture? I want someone to say it was the 1812 Overture, because that's what goes on in my head when I see that GIF every single time. Alright. And our last comment comes from Marsh800. Oh, I remember you. You commented on one of my previous reaction videos. So, what do you have to say now? He says, Remembrances is episode 8. Well, I wish Remembrances did not exist. I probably said episode 7, but does it honestly matter what episode Remembrances is? It's not good. It's not good. It's horrible. Oh, and it could have been something wonderful. It really and truly could have. If only they had gone in a different direction, and if only they had had the money to do it. Alright, so that's the discussion portion of this episode. Leave a comment if you want to participate. I've had some discussions in the past where we had really, really good discussions. Back and forth. Like, I remember we had one about how the walls of Ba Sing Se came down. That was pretty good. I mean, that was... Yeah, I like that. I like it when we have a discussion. I like it when I see intelligent comments. So please, leave a comment. Give me your thoughts. Give me your feedback. Give me whatever you have to say. And you know what? I'll talk about it. I'll give you my opinion on it. We will have a discussion. Like two people over the internet. Well, one person and one reviewer. So, that's been my review. That's been my discussion. I will hope to see you next week in the review.